Mrs. Cook, number 19.
Yeah, I just wanted to get some clarification on this. So let me pull it up real quick, I'm sorry. So the agenda, the topic is just to amend zoning text to our current ordinance. And what I'm, understood, because I made phone calls last night and talking to all kinds of people. So, but any event, so all we're doing is that we are revising the ordinance to add light industrial zoning in our county. And by what I see here is that under the statement of intent, the district is in light industrial use XYZ. And the uses of the light industrial district is going to be permitted by right. And then you have a list of different type of businesses, or uses of the land, if you will. So anyway, one question I do have is that, it's for educational purposes. Right now, I know we have industrial out there, like on the corridor, and there's little spots here and there throughout the county. So are we going to be rezoning any of the current industrial properties to light industrial? Or is light industrial kind of like a child of industrial? Right. I just need to understand that.
Yeah. Because with the data center, I'll just kind of address that. It's a listed use in both. We should be able, we won't have to rezone, okay? Mm-hmm. If it's a property that's currently like commercial, which we have a lot of commercial in the corridor along with the industrial, then we would want to go light industrial unless that applicant has a use that's listed specifically for industrial, more applicable to an industrial.
Mm-hmm. So would they have to come in and request to take an industrial piece of property and rezone it to light industrial?
If it was a use that was more applicable to light industrial, they could do that. If it's the same use, some of these might be by CUP or by right listed as a use in the industrial, then they wouldn't have to necessarily rezone. Okay. They are. Some of these uses are similar in both districts.
Yeah, because in my simple mind of the zoning, I keep seeing this picture, right? Our land plat, and this is commercial, this is industrial, XYZ.
Right.
Something like going, so where in that map do I see light industrial?
Right, yeah.
So it's just, I guess it's just more of a need that may come up.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to determine if a piece of commercial property or industrial property can be considered light industrial.
Would be more conducive to light industrial, and that would be that land use.
And that would be this list of things here.
That's correct.
Okay.
And we would meet with staff. Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Just a comment, that also includes residential.
That's correct, yeah.
So residential property could be rezoned to light industrial also.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind, because that makes a big difference on where this happens.
Yeah. We have some small residential lots in the corridor also, and there's potential there that it could happen.
So let's just say I want to open up a daycare or nursery facility.
Okay. Yeah.
And I go out and I find a piece of property that's in a commercial area.
Yeah.
In order for me to open up this facility, I'd have to come back to the planning and ask it to be rezoned as a light industrial district.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
You could if it was in agricultural, it's a listed use in agricultural also. So it really depends upon, yeah. So,
Oh, my.
yeah, so we would
So how
look
do you
at kind
split
of the
the
big
baby?
picture. If there was typically, we look at what's the adjoining properties. If they're adjoining by agricultural, then obviously the agricultural would be make the more sense. If they're adjoined by industrial or commercial, or we'll just say industrial, then it might be that land use, the light industrial would make more sense for something like that. So it really depends upon where we're at in the county. If you're looking in the corridor, in all likelihood, we're looking more along the lines of a light industrial use. Okay. So the one thing I will mention with any type of zoning or rezoning a property, we would meet with the applicant, and find out what the use they're looking specifically to do, and address that use specific to the underlying zoning district. What would be necessary? Would it be a by right? Would it be a conditionally permitted use? And then we kind of go from there before we even brought it forward to the Planning Commission or Board. So,
Last question. In the our title page here, it said on Wednesday, September 14th, the Planning Commission will vote on the application because of various reasons. So what if the Planning Commission comes back and says, well, we do not approve of this, and here we are being asked to approve this prior to their approval, and granted, I know it's just an advertisement for a public hearing, but, I mean, is there going to be a hiccup in the process if the Planning Committee comes back and says we don't approve this? Does that affect our vote in letting it go out for public hearing?
No,
It won't?
it does not. First, if they deny it, they have to list reasons, okay, why they're denying it, okay. And it just allows the process. It's going through the Planning Commission. They vetted, the text amendment and whatnot, and we would make sure that you would have their information, their recommendation prior to your public hearing on the application. Okay, on the I should say on the text amendment. So that would be taken care of. We're just authorizing that public hearing now. We fully intend to have the Planning Commission move this forward this month, one way or another, whether they approve it or deny it, one way or another, and then it would basically be in your court to make a decision on that.
I have a question on the by right.
Mm-hmm.
Why was by right there? Because that makes me uncomfortable.
What are we talking about for the data center?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If Mr. Petty was here, he would probably be the better of the two, and maybe Ms. Logan may have a little bit of better idea of how they came up with that. When I started as the planning director, and it kind of came to me, and Joe said that, Mr. Petty said that this is something that we were looking at doing for by right in order to be able to at least have some oversight. We would have is in the site plan review process for that, and it
But
would
by
be
right,
used
basically
in industrial and
limits
in light.
us on what we can say we're comfortable with and we're not. So
Right,
the by
right.
right bothers me
So,
personally.
can
Okay.
I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Because
Yeah.
I did some research on this before
Okay.
today. So it's my understanding that this is already zoned light industrial, that would be a by right use. But if it were agriculture or residential or any of the above, it would still have to be rezoned.
Correct.
For that particular use in mind, regardless. So the
that is
only
correct.
thing that we're doing is providing a text amendment to include that potential use into the light industrial designation. That's correct,
That is
right?
correct.
Okay,
That is correct.
so we're not actually giving anybody permission, if you will, to do a data center in an agricultural area.
You still have to rezone the property.
Correct.
The property,
Correct.
right.
You have to still make, it just puts it in
Yeah.
our code that it's that it could be a by right use.
I should probably mention this also. If the data center is within the highway corridor overlay district and the structure exceeds 50,000 square feet, then they do need a CUP for that, a conditional use permit for that. So there is that public hearing and everything involved with that going through the process. And most of these buildings are pretty big, so they're going to probably require that if within the corridor overlay district.
So taking
5.2.
by right out shouldn't be any more big deal than putting it in.
You can take it out if you want, sure, you could put it by CUP, and again, the Planning Commission has held their public hearing and heard those arguments also from actually
But when they had
a
their
member
hearing,
of
they
the town.
didn't come back because they couldn't make a decision.
The story behind that was we had 3 members there that evening at the last meeting, and our chairman, Mr. Myers, recused himself from making a decision, from participating, because he felt that there was a personal conflict of interest. And, we understand that. And then at the time, because we were basically at 2 members, we weren't sure if we had a full quorum, and so consequently, we just decided to postpone that decision until this upcoming meeting. And that's kind of where we're at with that. So that's, it's been a little bit prolonged, and a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the information came out basically 2 months ago, 3 months ago now, during the public hearing process for the Planning Commission. So. And certainly it's up to your will as to what you want to see, and the Planning
I'm
Commission
just-
can approve
right.
or deny it, based on what they've heard
I
and
don't
what they
know
what
how
they
the rest
feel.
of the board feels, but it makes me uncomfortable, so, but it's a
And this,
vote, so.
again, this is just authorization to advertise today. It gets it on the public hearing for the 23rd, 27th meeting. Are we doing this month, I think, for planning?
Okay. Well, Mr. Ham, if we were to move this forward with the word by right in there, does that make that where by right has to stay in for the public hearing, or between, how would that work? Because,
It's been advertised for by right at the Planning Commission, okay? And so that's what the Planning Commission would be holding their decision on the by right, okay?
Yeah, that's a tough zoning question for me to be able to answer right here, and I'd want to look a little bit more on exactly what it is. I mean, you're allowed to generally make some changes, but if it's fundamental to what it is,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
removing by right makes this whole activity pointless. Because
Yeah.
that's the whole point, is that we are adding data centers as a use in light industrial and industrial in our text amendment. It doesn't mean they can do it in an agricultural setting or a residential setting, and if it's larger than 50,000 square feet, they still have to have a conditional use permit. So the process is still necessary for how we treat it. It
Right.
just goes into our text as a potential use by right in light industrial and industrial.
Right,
And
but
I-
if they were less than 50,000 square feet in the overlay district.
light industrial,
it would
industrial,
be
they
just
can do
solely
it.
by right and
Right.
a review of the site plan.
Right.
well, and I get that part, but let's say we have a tract of land that nobody's interested in at this point, and the landowner comes and says, I want to change this to light industrial. Then, wow, a data center comes in and says, ooh, I want that piece of land now, and by right, I can do it, and we have no say over it.
No, we'd have to rezone it to
rezone
light
it.
industrial.
Yeah, the
So if
rezoning, the rezoning is a public
If it was already
hearing.
zoned that ahead of time, though, we wouldn't. That's what I'm saying.
But they couldn't rezone it light industrial without this board's approval, because it may be a tract of land that's not being used. But if it's industrial, it's only going to be in a particular location in the county, which frankly is in my district. There's no other industrial property that I'm aware of.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the corridor.
There's tiny little parcels
Yeah.
here and there
Okay.
throughout
Right,
the
it's
county.
the corridor.
I'm
Not
just
for
saying,
data
I could
centers.
see where,
Yeah.
similar to the Sheets property. I mean, if that man had said, he was honest and came up front and said, Sheets is interested in this, I want to rezone it. What if he had decided to say, I want to rezone it, and after it was rezoned, say, Sheets is interested in it?
Well,
Then your by right's gone.
but a lot of rezonings are done that way where the specific item is not identified. This is a 3-step process. You create having light industrial data center, that it's allowed, period, inside the limits of Warren County. And then somebody comes in and applies, I would like to have my property zoned light industrial. Or the planning commission, when part of the comprehensive plan, may come back and say, we believe these areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, should be zoned light industrial. Then the third step, if the first two are approved, would be for someone to propose some type of facility on a light industrial property. But nothing happens until you go through all 3 steps.
I get that, but I'm just saying that once it's got the by right in there, it's by right.
Only if you rezone the property. If you don't, if the Cullers farm cannot be used for a data center unless the Cullers come in and apply to the board to have the property rezoned as light industrial.
I get that, but I
Okay.
don't have to tell you because the data center guy
No, you don't
has
have to
come
tell
to
me
me
that.
and said,
That's right.
if you can get this rezoned, and then once it's rezoned and it's by right, you have no control over what the data center wants to do, is what my concern is.
But I think that can happen regardless of what the situation is in our community, regardless now.
Yeah.
I would just say,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
we work with the applicant, and normally those proffer statements you see, proffer out uses, and that would be a reason you could actually deny the rezoning if you were uncomfortable with, a potential use that you didn't want there. So,
Okay. Well, that's just my concern, that I don't, that by right worries me, that, the gentleman that wanted the Reliance Road thing, he threw out, well, by right. He wanted beyond by right, but by right, he didn't have to ask us for any of the things that he could do within that box of by right.
right. Well, for example, the property that the Marriott is on, out in the corridor. When that property was rezoned commercial, they were only allowed in their proffer statement 4 uses. So a hotel, I think a car wash, a restaurant. I mean, it was 4 very specific uses. So the board knew what they were getting when they allowed the rezoning. So that's kind of an example.
So we would be aware of what the rezoning by right, or what the rezoning uses would allow for that light industrial.
And it might not be exactly, but it would be narrowed. I mean, that
Okay.
would be what we would be doing, working with the applicant to get that to you.
Okay.
And then if they didn't want to do that, I mean, I think that would be a reason, that the board could list as a reason for denial if they didn't feel that, they felt that the use opened it up just way too much on that specific property.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, just a thought. But we don't have any light industrial now. We don't have any areas even designated in the comp plan for light industrial right now. So that would have to be something the Planning Commission would be working through. Right now, it's just a text amendment with these options. And if you do want to add it as conditional use permit, it would have to go back for a whole new public hearing at the Planning Commission. So, because that's totally different than the by right, so.
And the board's other option with this question is to delay this for a month, let the planning commission send you the recommendation, whatever that recommendation is, and then schedule your hearing in October. That gives you the advantage of seeing what they do before you schedule your hearing. If you want to just table this item and put it on next month.
I think that's a good idea, because that will give us some time to talk to Mr. Petty. I believe he's been carrying the water on this particular issue. And so, and maybe gain some more information and share some between each other. I think that might help the situation. So I would move that we table this until October.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Hayes.
Mr. Mabe?
Aye.
Mrs. Cook?
Aye.
Madam Chair?
Aye.
Mrs. Oates?
Aye.
Mr. Butler?